Hello, hello. Today is episode number 13, and our guest today is John Antonucci. He is founder and CEO of SML Consulting. Hi, John.
Good morning, Elena. How are you today?
I am great and excited about our conversation because it is about leadership and leadership to results.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I want to acknowledge you to be here so early. Is it 4 a.m. your time?
6 a.m. 6 a.m. my time here on the East Coast. I'm in South Carolina, so we're a little early, but no worries. I get up very early in the morning, so this is I've been up for 2.5 hours already.
Wow, this is great. Great habit, which I want to learn from you. To wake up at 3:30. Uh, yeah, would you like to tell us about your story, how you started this journey and how you now help other people to be servant leaders?
Absolutely, that'd be my privilege, Helena. Well, I had the opportunity to start in forms of leadership very young. I'm the oldest of five. And so when you're kind of a firstborn, you end up with some of those natural leadership tendencies. I stood in front of the very first class that I taught at a very young age, 12 years old. I taught my very first martial arts class. The instructor that was supposed to be there was stuck in traffic. The parents of the other students came to me and they said, "We think you should teach." I said, "Oh no, I'm not the oldest. I'm not the highest ranking." I mean, there was no reason, really. There was no reason I should be the one. And they said, "Well, we're paying for the class and we think you should teach. So why don't you go ahead and get up there?" And so at 12 years old, I stood in front of that Taekwondo class and I taught. And through a series of events, in the next 7 to 8 years, I continued to teach martial arts. I functioned in leadership at a local grocery store. I was functioning in other forms of leadership as a coach and a mentor and just getting experience. But honestly, Elena, I wasn't a good leader. I had all this experience. In fact, it was so much experience that by the time I was 19, I was teaching 15 different martial arts classes, totaling over 500 students in the Phoenix metro area in Arizona. And you would think that starting as young as I did and growing up in this discipline of martial arts, I would be a great leader, but I wasn't. I had significant character flaws. It was all about me. It was all about, what I could do. And you made a comment earlier about producing results. It wasn't about empowering other people. It was about, hey, look at John. Look at me. Look at what I can do. And that resulted in a series of bad decisions. And I won't go into all the details, but the bottom line is that me and three of my friends had the very stupid idea to go light a fire. My best friend did not make it out of that fire alive. And I lost my best friend that day. And because of course, the criminal charges that were associated with that decision, I also lost over a decade of my life into the criminal justice system. And that situation, as tragic and as devastating as it was, and you can see I still shake a little bit as I talk about it, was an experience in my life that was a turning point. And it's the beginning of where changes in my heart started happening. And I was able to look at myself through a different lens, and I was able to recognize not who everyone thought I was, but who I really was inside.
Mm,
And that began a journey of transformation over the course of the next dozen years. Not only did I work on my own character, but I had the opportunity to invest into others. And my leadership took on a much greater servant dynamic. In fact, while I was incarcerated, I helped to develop something known as inmate peer programming, where we served the incarcerated community by providing tools and resources to help them for when they were released back into the general community. And in doing that, I built teams and I had, whole programs. It was humongous. We created a little tag that we wore that said, "How can I serve you?"
Wow.
And this idea of service and empowering other people for success is a form of leadership that now is so near and dear to my heart. I've had the opportunity after prison to function as the training manager for an international specialty logistics company, director of an international organization, and then work with other organizations in this new venture. Well, it's not so new. It's been a year and a half now since I started it, but under SML Consultative, where we go in to provide empowering training and coaching, not so much for executives. Not that I won't work with an executive, but there's lots of executive resources out there. The people that are really struggling are the leaders that are expected to produce the greatest results, the frontline leaders, the ones that are working with staff, and they're often promoted to these positions. They want to succeed. The company wants them to succeed, but they don't have the resources to. And so this journey that I've been on for the last 15 to 20 years of really renewing in my own heart and becoming a new person is now manifesting in helping other people live their best lives and be the best leaders they can be.
Yeah, great, great story. And it made me think that sometimes something bad that happens to us becomes that point when our life totally changed the direction.
Oh, isn't that true? Yeah. I was just writing earlier today. I often post on LinkedIn, especially in the collaborative articles. I have the I don't know if it's an honor or what, but the privilege of being considered a top leadership voice on LinkedIn. And I was just contributing to one of the articles, and I said, failure is not when things don't go as planned. Failure is not even when things go horribly wrong. Failure is when we don't learn from it, when we don't grow from the experience. And that can be hard, especially in the moment. Let me tell you, as handcuffs are being clasped around your wrist, you're not thinking, wow, this is a great growth experience. Your life is shattered and you're devastated, and your family is devastated, and the community has already been devastated. But looking back and the choices that were made after that is what made it into something great. And I just agree with you so much, Elena.
Yeah, and also this is the matter of attitude,
It is.
because in the same situation, the choice what you which you make, what you will think about. Yes,
Mm,
like,
yes.
because in this case there is two ways. Yes, somebody come totally crushed,
Yeah.
right? If they choose that way of thinking and start thinking that I am a victim, yeah, why it happened to me, so my life is like over, right? Like,
Yes.
or in the same situation we can think, okay, this is the fact, yes,
Yeah.
accept that this is my reality,
Yes.
and what I'm going to do now to become better, right? And to use
Absolutely.
it to grow. Even in every situation we can grow. So what helped you to get that positive mindset and started thinking about the good and starting growing and developing? I mean, starting doing what you could in that situation, in that projection for future, and change, and again thinking about leadership, what you can do. This is really very it is very powerful, right? Like, because you
Yeah.
were just 19, you said, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was 19 when that all happened. That's exactly right. I would love to say that it happened instantaneously, and I just like, wow, I'm going to do the right thing. I think it happened over a period of time where
Mm,
there was a gradual understanding of what I'm just going to call ownership. Right, the
mm,
victim mentality that you just mentioned. It's so counterproductive to everything that is good, but it's the easy way, right? Isn't it? It's easy to say, "Woe is me." Oh, what am I going to do? But when we take ownership and we just recognize, no, my decision put me here and I have a choice. Am I going to continue to make decisions that are going to lead me to places that I don't want to go? or am I going to make better decisions? And the willingness to take ownership, I think, was a humongous factor. And I think for any leader that wants to be an effective leader, they 100% have to understand this concept that my decisions and their consequences are my responsibility. I can't blame you. I can't blame even people will say to me, they'll say, oh, I have to get up at 3:30, or I have to get up at 6, or I have to get whatever. No, you don't. You're making that choice. Even when I was in prison, I used to teach a lot of classes in prison and provide a lot of rehabilitation. And I would tell them, I would say, do you guys realize that you choose to be here every day? No, I don't. They make me be here. Oh no. No, no. You could, if you wanted, choose to leave right now. What are you talking about? Well, what you're doing is you're making a very logical and a very good choice to stay, because the alternative is you try to leave and they kill you because you're trying to escape. But you would leave. You could make that choice and you could be out, and they might take you out dead. But it's a choice that we make, and we have to take ownership. No one is forcing you to stay here. We're making a choice. Not only did we make a choice that brought us here, but we're choosing every day. And so in our everyday lives, right? How many leaders, oh, my boss is making me do this. No, they're not. Absolutely not. You're choosing to do this. Why? So you can keep your job. So that you can continue to do what you want to do. Maybe you're not, maybe you're the top leader, maybe you're executive leader, and I have to do it. No, you don't. You have to do it if you want to keep that client, which is always the ultimate boss, right? The client is always the ultimate the ultimate boss. But no, this idea of ownership. And then, Elena, I don't want to downplay the humongous amount of grace that I felt in my life. My faith was certainly something that has and does provide great direction for me, and help me to really understand my created purpose. And that's something that is it's personal to me. I can't, of course, force that onto anybody else. But having a purpose outside of oneself is such a humongous benefit to really making a dynamic impact in this world.
Yeah, when you were speaking, it came to my mind the book of Viktor Franklin,
Yeah.
Man Searching for Meaning.
Yes.
And in that, we say the worst situation that could ever happen, right? When all the family was killed in front of him, everything was taken from him. The last thing, like his marriage ring, was taken from him. That
Mhm.
so he lost everything.
Everything.
Yes, and at that moment, one thing that couldn't be taken, it was his choice what to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is really powerful because yes, nobody can take the choice.
No.
Whatever situation happen, it's up to us what we think, where we will focus our power.
100%.
Nobody can take that.
Yeah. No, that's so true. That is so true.
Yes, and people are conditioned to blame others, to blame like circumstances, economy, government, but they not take that responsibility. I liked how you told that everything what happens with us, it is our choice in the past. So this reality, this physical fact, so called, it is
Yeah.
just reflection of what going inside.
Yes.
And sometimes it is not that bad thing happens once. If
Hmm.
we look before, it is always like there were signs, like
Yeah.
the same decisions, and we did something before, and it was
Yes.
something, but we didn't learn lesson. Then
Yes.
again, the same pattern of behavior caused us to do again something, and again something bad happened, and we didn't take lesson. So it is like if we don't take lessons, if we're
Yeah.
not aware of our these behavioral patterns, what we do and why we do, because
Yeah.
most people live habitually.
Yeah.
Yes, like 95% of our behavior is habitual.
Yes.
And it means that we just wake up and we just do things automatically, and we're not aware every time, like driving. Yes, if we drive 20 years, we don't consciously think about so many things. It is totally automatic. And people, most, I would say, most of the people, they just live all their life in these
Yeah.
habitual patterns without understanding why this happens to them, and this happens again and again, and they just blame others. They blame everything,
Yeah.
but don't look in themselves what causes this behavior, because everything has cause and effect. So if we don't like effect, there should be cause, and the cause is in us.
And the opposite of habitual is intentional. There's so many of us that you're right. We live in this habitual way. We're not paying attention. We're just going through exercises that are rote and habitual, like you said. And the value of intentional living, asking why am I doing this? And adding that to the choice that we talked about earlier. Obviously, we want results, right? That's the entire idea of your podcast, I believe, is getting results. Results don't come through habitual living. I mean, you will end up with a result. Don't get me wrong. There will be a result to habitual living, but it won't be the kind of result that you want to tell your grandkids about. It's not going to be the kind of result that has a monument built to you in the center of the city. The results that really are going to make an impact in the world, that are going to change people's lives, are results that are founded in intentionality and the willingness to take a good hard look at, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? And what is the end result from these choices? I've got a whiteboard over on my wall over here, and it has very specific and targeted information pertaining to goals and values and execution of those things. And then, on my computer here, I have a daily list. All right, I need to do this and this and this in order to achieve a specific goal. And honestly, Elena, I'm still not satisfied. I still feel that there are additional things that I should be doing. I told my wife last night I'm supposed to. I play guitar. I play a little bit of guitar and sing every once in a while, and we're going to be doing something fun for my grandmother this weekend. Hopefully, this podcast doesn't come out before then, and hopefully, she doesn't see it because it's a surprise. Um, but yeah, we're going to be doing something. My grandma's celebrating 80 years, and we're going to sing some songs that she really enjoys. And I told my wife last night, I said, "Babe, this is not acceptable. I have not even started practicing these songs. We're 3 days away from this event, and can I play? Yes. Am I going to be fine? Yeah, because I put in the time beforehand, but it's not acceptable in my mind. In my mind, I should have been playing these songs every day for the past couple of weeks. I should have been investing, and I've been bogged down and doing other things. And the things are good. They're productive. They're gonna produce results, or they are producing results. But I lacked intentionality where I needed to practice those songs. And now, I don't know if you play guitar or not, but if you don't play guitar for a couple of weeks, which I just said I haven't, the calluses on your fingers go away. And it hurts a lot more to play. And that's I think so representative of life, that when we're not living with that intentionality, it hurts more to get what we're trying to get, to produce the results we want. But if we live in a daily way where intentionality guides our choices and our I guess decisions and choices are the same thing, but just guides what we do, it's going to hurt less and it's going to produce much better results.
Yeah, because the most efforts are needed to create momentum, right?
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you create that
Exactly.
momentum, you're already in the flow, and so
Yeah.
then you just you don't spend that much energy. Like if you want to push something initially, yes, you push and you put so much energy, but then when it is already going, it's just going. So
Yes.
I think that it is very important to know what are the priorities, right? And keep those things which are important in your life
Yeah.
doing constantly, so they become your habits. And when
Yes.
it becomes the habit, you don't need to put that effort anymore. The same as we wake up every morning and we brush the teeth, or we put clothes on. We don't put efforts and consciously think to take it in right hand, to move move the hand, right? So it
Yeah.
is. already become the part of habit. So the question is here, which habits should we install in us, in our mind,
Mm.
in our brain, to do things automatically, and that it will lead us to that goal which we want to achieve.
Yeah, I think setting up good habits is important. I'll say something. I said earlier that the opposite of habitual is intentional, and I think that sometimes we set up good habits and then we never revisit them. They say that the seven words of a dying organization is we've never done it that way before. And usually those were choices that were made by a well-meaning group of individuals who said, here's our target and this is how we're going to reach it. And then no one ever questions that again. Everyone just assumes, well, that's the way we have to do it. So I think questioning our habits is very important, but there's some basic habits that are really going to be good for you in life. And most of them are all pertaining to balance, right? We talked about sleep, right? I get up at 3:30 every morning, at least Monday through Friday. And that's a great habit for me because I get so much done in the first few hours of the day. But I also have to balance that with a habit that on Saturday, I don't get up at any specific time. Sometimes I don't get up till noon. Why is that so important? Well, because I don't think anybody would disagree that if you have a perpetual low amount of sleep, eventually your physical body is going to break down and we're not going to be able to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, or at least I'm not. And so having habits like good nutrition, having habits like a period of rest and recharging. One of the things that I like to do too is I like to at least yearly, if not quarterly, have time away to reflect and recharge and say, all right, what does my next quarter, what does my next year look like? How can I be intentional? But let's involve some balance. And then the one habit that I feel is impactful, and you don't even have to revisit this. Once you develop this into a habit, in my opinion, you can just leave it there for the rest of your life. And that is take a genuine interest in people. Take a genuine, especially if you're a leader, but just if you're a human being, take a genuine interest in people. Not what can I get from them, not how can we partner, just them as a person. There's going to be partnerships and they're going to be amazing. We're going to meet just like you and I met, and it's going to be we met on LinkedIn, and it's going to be great, and we get to spend some time together today. We get to learn from each other. We get to exchange energies. That's amazing. But that doesn't happen unless we have an authentic care for people that would result in you reaching out. And I think you reached out because of some of the things that I've posted on LinkedIn, which I hope represents that authentic care to empower leaders and to get results from oneself, and then facilitating that for one's team. And so, an authentic care for other human beings, I think, is a habit that will always be of benefit, and it will absolutely lead to one having a dynamic impact in the world.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And also, I like this attitude, leaving people with impression of increase.
Yeah.
So when we care of them and when we communicate with them, we can find always something good, something
Mhm.
outstanding. Yes,
Yes.
and when we communicate with them, give them that great energy,
Yeah.
that yes, that to feel that they're doing good job. Like
Mhm.
how we met on LinkedIn, I just saw that you wrote that serving leader, right? Like this has catched my attention. So it speaks already about you, right? About your character, about your mission, and this what was attractive, and I really wanted to acknowledge you for what you do, because there are so many. I think the world needs great leaders. And what is for you to be great leader?
For me to be a great leader, I believe that a great leader is one who authentically serves their people. And I put that word authentic in there because as I've studied leadership more, and even more as I've gotten into the leadership business, I've recognized that over the last several years, something has happened that was unintentional, but it's having a poor impact on leadership. And that is that uh, there's become an emphasis on an ROI, return on investment, for good leadership. And so you'll hear people talk about, if you will serve your team, then your team will have will produce more, or they will do more, or they were these, and those are absolute truths. When I talk to HR, I'm saying, hey, you want to stop losing your people? Invest in your leadership. I talk to executives, hey, you want to stop losing all the money of people quitting? Invest in your leadership. But from the leadership perspective, from the perspective of actually developing as a leader, we can't go into the relationship saying, what can I get? We can't go into the relationship with our people saying they serve me. We really truly have to go into it with the perspective of serving them. I would talk to a CEO yesterday, had lunch with him, and he described himself as the chief servant of the organization. Isn't that a remarkable just mindset that my job is to be the best servant to this organization? And that to me is indicative of an amazing leader that says, hey, it's not about me, not about my vision. It's about how the organization can best be served. And he was telling me about some of the things that his organization is doing, and they're making a humongous impact. They're a nonprofit in this particular case, but I mean, they're doing crazy cool things. And the idea of serving your people, I say this a lot. I say it's not about what you can get from your team, it's about what you can get for your team. And sometimes it's what you can get for them from them. Like, what can we do to inspire them to do more for their own future and for their own selves and to make a bigger impact? What is it that we can do to facilitate their success? Because, yes, if they succeed, the organization succeeds. But genuinely having a heart to serve people. Zig Ziglar says this. He says, uh, you don't build a business, you build people, and people build the business. And so genuinely, to me, that is the epitome of a true leader. A true leader is one who recognizes that their job is to serve the individuals that they're leading.
Yes, yes, so true. Um, every organization has culture and has paradigms. The same as people have paradigms, those programs which control their behavior, and companies, organizations, they also have their paradigms. So when people come, there is already certain culture. Yes, and they just may think that what can I do? It like
Mhm.
is already there.
Yeah.
But it is important that everybody, if they take their own responsibility and think, how can I help this culture to be better?
Yes.
Yes, how can I, if I see that something can be improved, what I
Yeah.
can personally do to make that happen?
Yeah.
Yes, so taking that responsibility and understanding that companies are people. Yes, it is not furniture, it is not the walls, the buildings, they're people, right? And
Yeah.
what we do on daily basis, which mind we come today and show up in front of people, that this makes a change.
Indeed. Indeed.
And also, uh, some leaders they they look at others and they think that others don't do things. Yes, like they see that why they don't achieve results because others don't do what they have to do. So, how do you help them to look inside of them and become that leader who leads by example and start saying what he has to do different to get different results for the company?
I think the first thing, if we go back to the idea of servant leadership and we really look at our obligation as leaders to serve our teams, it becomes a much easier conversation because once I see myself as a servant to the team, I now also see that I am not too good to do any specific job. Coming alongside one's team and participating in the process. Often, when people are not doing their part, it's because they either don't understand what they're doing or why they're doing it, they don't know how to do what they're doing or why they're doing it, or they simply are not interested. And so I really believe that as an example that the leader sets, they need to be willing to do it and they need to be able to show, hey, look, this isn't my job, but this is my opportunity to contribute to the overall success of the team. And that'll foster a culture where other people want to get involved and say, oh, yeah, it's a team effort. This is not a your job versus my job. This is an our success being bound up together in our mutual contributions. But then in addition to that, one of the things that I really encourage leaders to do is to ensure alignability with the passions and abilities and just overall mentality of an individual. If I've got an individual that's working for me and they are a researcher by nature, they like to do research, and I've got them in a position that is kind of the outgoing party person. Maybe I got them as the receptionist, and so they have to greet people and answer the phones and all that. They're going to be miserable. And they're not going to be able to engage it with a whole heart. Why? Because they would rather be in the back room buried in research. That's where their passion is. And so I ripped this, or not ripped it, but I stole this from Stephen Covey in his book, The Eighth Habit. But he talks about alignment and whole person leadership. And he says, with a whole person, you have the physical ability, the mental ability, the emotional capacity, and the spiritual guidelines that every individual has. And so when we're creating assignments, when we're giving the jobs to people, the participation in the overall objective, asking, what do they have the physical capacity to do? Okay. What are they mentally adept at? What are they passionate about? And then hopefully nothing I would ask would go against their values or their moral compass or their spiritual framework. But the intersection of all four of those equals the point of alignment, where if we can put a person in that position, they're able to fulfill their passion and bring their best selves to the organization. And so that idea of setting an example, being a leader that is truly willing to serve, and then following that up by ensuring alignment, I believe is a powerful way to encourage participation and foster productivity. Oh, do I still have you? Are we still on today? Oh, there we go. I see you moving. Do I have you back?
Um, Back. Let's continue.